Hello, my sensational students. Welcome to Bloom and Grow Education. My name is Meredith. Today we are doing a reading comprehension activity. It is suitable for Year 4 or Year 5 students. And we are looking at the skill of summarising. I like to use the website BTN, Behind the News by the ABC. You guys might do that in your classrooms at school. It's a really good website, one, because of the subjects that they're talking about, these news reports that they do, are interesting and they're relevant to children. Also because it's great to watch the videos, and reading is actually reading and viewing, and teachers often don't do the viewing part of the viewing. And also there's the transcript, which we'll have a look in a second, which we can use our reading comprehension. So let's have a look at the video that we're doing today. So we are looking at this story. It's called Young Author by the ABC website Behind the News. And before we keep on going, I just want to talk about a couple of things on the page. So one of the lost skills of your generation is, because you guys don't read newspapers anymore, there's some things that you might not be aware of when you're looking at a news article. So, of course, we have the title, Young Author, and the news report is by Cale Matthews. And then we have the date that it's given, because if this was in 1990, you're going to have a very different story to one that's done in 2023. And then down here, this is what I was calling before the transcript. So this is everything that this boy, this rookie reporter, as they call him, this is everything that he's about to say. So rather than going back and re-watching the video, we can scroll through this and find what he said. And this is like the little blurb. So if you want to find out quickly, what is this video about, there's the little blurb down there that explains that to you. So let's watch this video.
BTN, my name is Bodie. I'm 9 years old and I'm from Exmouth in Western Australia. And I wrote and illustrated my own book called The Lolhards Explorer Exmouth. Exmouth is roughly 1,200 kilometres north of Perth. We're extremely remote, but the town thrives off tourism. Most people come here in Exmouth to see the Ningaloo Reef and the whale shark.
No. Ryan, I'm not sure if this is the best way to do this. If you want me to just tell you the videos that need to be inserted, I just want to redo this with my face not there. So I'm just going to press play again.
BTN, my name is Bodie. I'm 9 years old and I'm from Exmouth in Western Australia. And I wrote and illustrated my own book called The Lolhards Explorer Exmouth. Exmouth is roughly 1,200 kilometres north of Perth. We're extremely remote, but the town thrives off tourism. Most people come here in Exmouth to see the Ningaloo Reef and the whale shark. The Ningaloo Reef is just so alive with lots of sea animals. I love going snorkeling with the turtles. I love living in Exmouth because it is such a beautiful part of the world. I wanted to show everyone else that through my book. It's about two love hearts who read each other like they have no friends, and then they just go around Exmouth seeing all the fun and cool things that Exmouth, this town, has to offer. Their hearts were now full with love, friendship, and memories they have made exploring Exmouth. Their hearts get more full and full with every time that they go on a very fun adventure that they really like doing. So these were all the adventures I did with my family that made my heart full. And so one day I decided I could have put this into a book. So to print off my first book, I had to put in $100 of my birthday money, and my parents also helped me match it. So I think I've sold roughly around 150 books so far. I was so stoked when I sold my first book. If you're in Exmouth, you can even buy it and even rent it in the Exmouth local library.
You've got a membership with us, don't you?
I just love writing and illustrating because it makes me feel so creative and it lets my imagination run free all through my book. So what's next? Should I write another book? Probably. I'm thinking about it. So my advice to other kids who might like to write a book, get a piece of paper and a pencil, write down some ideas, and then just go along drawing, writing ideas, and then until you know it, you have a book. Thanks, VTN. I really hope I can see you all next now. Bye!
Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed watching that video. I thought it was really interesting and very inspirational as well. You can certainly write your own novel and have it published. And that story wasn't even hugely long. It was probably about your standard five paragraphs, 1 page that you guys would probably be doing preparing for NAPLAN. And it was just some cute pictures, and he was selling them for $20 each. I couldn't believe it. So if he sold 150 copies at $20 each, that's $3,000 that he made. He's put in $100 of his own money and $100 of his parents' money. So that is $2,800 of profit. That's a lot of money for a little kid. Very impressive. So let's get on with our activity. So we are practicing our summarizing skills. So summarizing is about telling what the story is about without saying everything that happened in the story. So we want to take this big, long story and go down to 2-3 sentences. But what tends to happen is we need to be able to work out what are the most important parts of the story in order to cut out the fluff, the things that you don't really need. And so I've got a little technique that we're going to look at. You might have seen this before in your own classroom. It's this idea for summarizing. So tell the most important parts of the story in your own words and use the information above to write a quick summary. So I have put this page linked in the description box below. You can print this sheet off. Alternatively, you can just get a piece of paper, write "Let's Summarize" at the top as your title, and then put on the left-hand side, somebody, new line, wanted, new line, so new line then. So that you can just write it next to it. You don't need to print that. That's not necessary. So we need to have a thing. Now, before I move on, you might have seen this before where it says somebody wanted but so then, with the but in the middle here. That's for fictional narrative text. I find that is not necessary for non-fiction text, which is what we're looking at now in this news report. So we need to think, who was that somebody? What did they want? What did they do? And then after that, what did they do? So let's come back to Bodie and our transcript. The information is commonly at the start. So my name is Bodie. I live in Exmouth and I wrote and published my own book. Now, I want you to be careful. So somebody is obviously Bodie. What he wanted was not to write and publish his own book. He did that as a consequence of what he wanted. Exmouth is roughly 1,200 kilometers north of Perth. We're extremely remote, but the town thrives off tourism. Most people come here to Exmouth to see the Ningaloo Reef and the whale sharks. The Ningaloo Reef is just so alive with lots of sea animals. I love going snorkeling with the turtles. I love living in Exmouth because it is such a beautiful part of the world. I wanted to show everyone else that through my book. The book is about two love hearts who meet each other. So one day, I'm reading down here now. So one day I decided I could have this, I could have put this into a book. So I printed off my first book at a publishing house and sold it. And then I sold my first book. So I hope that has given you some clues about the right order of things, because when I've done this activity with my students, they go, he wanted to write a book, and that's not what he wanted. That was what he did because of the thing that he wanted. All right, so I would like you to go ahead, in a second, I want you to pause and go ahead and fill out just that top section. So you're not worrying about the summarizing part at the bottom. You're not worrying about this part just here. You're just doing this part up the top. And all you have to do is keywords. So you're not writing whole epic long sentences. We're going to do that part down here. So up here, writing keywords. Pause the video, come back, and then we're going to have a chat about the answers. Okay, let's go through the answers. So obviously our somebody is Bodie. If you put Bodie Howland, that's okay. And what he wanted, I wanted to show everyone else that through my book. So all this stuff he said about how beautiful Ningaloo Reef is and the awesome whale sharks and the sea animals and the snorkeling with the turtles. He loves living in Exmouth and he wants to show that off to the world. So you would have written something like he wanted to show off Exmouth, or he wanted to show his love of Exmouth to the rest of the world. So he wrote a book. One day I decided I could have put this into a book, and then he printed it off and sold it. So your answers are going to look something like this. Bodie wanted to share our wonderful Exmouth with a capital E, because it's a proper noun, with the world. So he wrote a book. Then he had it published and sold it. So just keywords, that's the general idea of what he's done. Now I want you to take those words, what you wrote, not what I wrote, but what you wrote, and turn it into a couple of sentences. I would expect it to be 2 sentences. And one of the things that I've noticed that my students do is they do it all in one sentence, and then the sentence is too long. There's and. So try to aim for about 2 sentences, right? Something like that. Bodie loves living in Exmouth. He wants to show it off to the world. So he wrote a book and had it published. And you can even put and then have it published if you really want. The danger of what some students is they do that. So he wrote a book and you've got the all in one sentence and then the sentence is too long. So we need to make sure that we've got that full stop there like that. Okay, so to finish off the activity, you need to take what you wrote and put it into 2 sentences to summarize it. And now what we have is a summary of that story about a young author. So if somebody says, what did you watch on BTN today? You can say, this story is about a boy called Bodie who loves living in Exmouth and wants to show it off to the world. So he wrote a book and then had it published. And we could even add that book. We could even add that to the beginning. Okay. So once you have written out those couple of sentences, it is the end of the lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do another lesson about another young author, which is also a summarizing lesson, because we need to keep on practicing these skills. Sometimes these can be a little bit tricky. It's easy enough writing it down, but actually pulling out the right information, that's the tricky part. And then I'm going to do a Venn diagram, doing similarities and differences between the 2 stories. So please check out the links to those videos in the description box below. I think you'll really enjoy keeping on going with watching these BTN videos and doing those summarizing and Venn diagram activities. Okie dokie, thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe to this video. It really, really helps me out. It allows me to keep on doing these videos. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.